Damon Martin MMA fighting here with one of the biggest winners coming out of UFC Vegas 45. And now he is very happy to say he is a top 5 ranked welterweight in the world. Welcome back, my good friend, Belal Muhammad. Belal, welcome back and congratulations on an amazing win.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you, man. Yeah. Biggest win of my career, I feel like. And I always knew I was top 5, but now I could say that I really am top 5.
You've had a lot of big wins. You've had a lot of great performances during this run. You know, the Damian Maia one, of course, is a great one. But to go out and dominate a guy like Wonderboy and doing it the way you did, meaning you did to him what no one has really ever done before. Yeah, he got caught and clipped and knocked out by, Anthony Pettis, but that was after he had won a pretty dominant first round. Tyron Woodley, he didn't do that to Wonderboy. I mean, how much of a statement does that kind of a win make for you?
I think it makes a huge statement. Nobody's ever been able to do that to him, and to get a 30-25 on anybody, especially a guy like Wonderboy who's fought for the title twice, who's been a staple in the top 5 in everybody's rankings, not even just the UFC rankings, the worldwide rankings. He's always top 5, and he's a guy that everybody's afraid to fight because of, nobody wants to deal with that puzzle. Nobody wants to try to figure that puzzle out. Nobody wants to have to go through a camp of wondering and figuring out what's Wonderboy going to throw at you or do to you. And I went in there and I just put that all to rest. And the way I beat him, nobody can take that away from me.
Absolutely. We got to be honest, being a striker, Wonderboy's fought wrestlers before. He's fought guys who try to take him down. The reality is, though, yes, there was one round where, Tyron Woodley did take him down and hold him down for, a couple minutes. But typically guys would not be, Gilbert Burns, who was incredible. I'm a huge fan of Gilbert Burns. Even he struggled to keep Wonderboy down. He couldn't keep Wonderboy on the mat. The way you did it and advanced your position, we've never really seen that before. Did you expect it to go that way? Did you kind of feel like you could do that to him? Because he's not a guy typically you could do that to.
I think a lot of people underestimate how good I am everywhere. I have really good wrestling. I don't have the accolades of being a Division I wrestler or going to this school or being born into a wrestling family or anything like that. But I train with really good wrestlers. Shout out to Mike Cannon. I get helped by a lot of really good guys, and I understand how to use things better than everybody else. I understand how to put everything together. I'm kind of like a GSP where you don't need to be have the most wrestling years in your life, but like we both understood when to shoot on somebody, when to cut an angle on somebody, when to take somebody down. And I think that I'm good at putting it all together and being like a martial artist.
Is there any part of you looking back at that? Have you had a chance to go back and watch the fight?
Yeah, I watched the fight. Honestly, I'm one of those guys where I'll sit there and I watch it probably then the next morning just all right, what could I have done differently? What could I have did here? What could I have did there?
Yeah. Is there any part of you, because watching it and then I rewatched it just to be sure I wasn't, because you get kind of, emotional in the moment watching a fight. I thought there could have been a stoppage in that first round. You had him down. You were banging at his head. I mean, he was covering up. Now, he got back up. Kudos to him, but you were landing a lot of unanswered shots. Like he was not rolling. He was not trying to escape. He was basically doing the, covering his head, just hoping to, to wait for the end of the round. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm looking at it like, man, I'm starting to think that Herb Dean hates me. I'm like, bro, it was 45 seconds of unanswered shots, and it wasn't like no movement of him trying to roll over to mount or trying to adjust. He was just literally covering his ears up. I thought for sure that could have been a finish, and if my man Keith Peterson from the Dominique Cruz fight was there, he would have stopped that fight for sure. But like you took that finish away from me, Herb Dean. That was a big finish. I think that finishing it with a guy like Wonderboy would have been huge. And Herb took that away from me. But whatever, I'll take a 30-25 and 2 30-26s just to show that it's not luck, that I really can dominate these top 5 guys.
Do you feel like, though, that first round kind of broke him? Like, do you feel like you kind of just broke him in that? Because, like, it was, again, I'm not saying easy as in, like, Wonderboy's not a great fighter, because he is a great fighter, but it just seemed like you kind of had your way with him from then on out. Like, he just did the resistance, like, it almost felt like you broke him in that round.
Yeah, it was one of those where it was a high pace in that first round. It was a hard pace, and there was a lot of grappling exchanges, like a lot of striking, and there was a lot of different things. And for me, I got a little bit tired. I was like, well, if I'm tired, I know this guy is 100% tired, because nobody's going to keep a pace like me. None of these guys are going to be able to keep up what I'm able to do. And I know that I could maintain that for 5 rounds. And I was like, the second and third round, I was like, all right, well, now I know I broke him. The first round, he got up a couple of times off of a takedown. The second round, third round, I was like, all right, well, now he doesn't have the energy to get up. He doesn't have that extra push, that extra muscle. So yeah, I think it was one of those where my goal at the beginning of this was to drown him. I wanted to make him suffocated. I wanted him to feel like he couldn't do anything. He was stuck underwater. And that's what I was able to do.
Yeah. Do you feel like, I mean, through all the wins, the streak you've been, all the things you've done, do you feel like this is the one where you finally kind of turn a corner with people a little bit? Because Wonderboy does have that reputation. He does have that resume, 2-time title, contender, huge list of wins, impressive knockouts. Like, do you feel like this is kind of that moment where you get to turn that corner with people where they can, stop saying, well, is Belal for real? I think you proved it in that fight. You're 100% real.
Yeah, exactly. This is that fight. Even before the fight, none of these sites were picking me. I was looking at the Anakin Florida Parks. Like, bro, none of you guys picked me to win this match. But I was like, all right, well, that did nothing but fuel me. I got I'm looking at the messages of people like, you're gonna get knocked out, spinning heel kick knockout. LOL, this Wonderboy's gonna walk through him. And I think this just showed that I'm that guy now. It's how good I am, and to show that in the Maya fight, to show that I can defend takedowns, I can wrestle with these guys, but nobody knew how my top grappling was. Nobody knew how my offensive grappling, how good it actually was. And to beat a guy like Wonderboy in that way, I proved a lot of doubters wrong and haters wrong.
Absolutely. You said you rewatched the fight. Did you watch it with the commentary on?
Yeah.
Did you? Okay. So I tweeted a lot about your fight. I tweeted a lot about the fights last Saturday, but the one tweet I had that blew up was Paul Felder calling out the idiot chanting USA when he said, Belal's from Chicago, you idiot. And I was crying laughing during the broadcast. Did you, I know Paul's your boy, but did you get a kick out of that one? Cause I was cracking up when he said that.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I was like, man, Paul's funny, man. And even before the fight, it was cool just to see him there and like to be down there fighting on the same card with my other boy, Gerald Mershard, and to see him get that big win. And then walking down to the cage, I was in the cage, and like before a fight, you have a little emotions coming through you. And I looked like me and Paul met eye to eye, and he's like, just relax, calm down. It's your time. And it just like centered me a little bit. And I was like, oh man, I messaged him afterwards. Like, dude, that was big right there.
Yeah. Let me ask you, so much to celebrate with this fight, but I can't not talk about kind of like the ugly moment that happened there, which is the USA chant, which I think is ridiculously stupid anyways. I've never been a fan of that. And like, somehow you're less American than Wonderboy, which was hilarious to me. I mean, I know because we've done articles on it. I know you're very proud of your roots. I know you are very proud of your roots, where your family comes from. And we've done stories talking about, where you come from. I understand that, but it was hilarious to me that it's just so ridiculous. And then I know you mentioned in the post fight, and I wanted to ask you about that. You said someone was actually chanting something else. Now I'm not going to ask you what they chanted because I don't want to give that person any oxygen for the ugly thing they said. But you said there actually was somebody chanting something else, like racist towards you during the fight.
Yeah, it was disrespectful, definitely disrespectful. And I was sitting there like, it's the apex. You hear everything. And I was like, I wanted to like talk to Wonderboy, like, yo, hey, what's up with your people, man? But I'm sure it's not Wonderboy's family or anything like that. But like, I don't know if it was a drunk guy or something like that. But I'm like, who is this guy? And I just wanted to like hop over the fence and just freaking see who it was and just like hit him. Cause it's like that troll that's on Twitter that you actually see in person. And it's like, all right, let's use it to my face.
Yeah. Was it, because was it like, I assume it was a slur. Is that what it was?
Just like homophobic slurs and stuff like that. Things like that. Yeah.
What blows my mind, and unfortunately, when you get a crowd of like 20,000 people, you're always going to have a couple idiots. We all kind of expect that. You know what I mean? But like in the Apex, the UFC kind of controls that. Like I know they sell tickets and stuff like that, but it's like 100 people. Like, how did like somebody not see this dude and just like toss him out on, you know what I mean? Like I when you said that, I was like, that's so crazy to me that there's some idiot in the crowd that's able to shout these things and no one is running over and just tossing him on his head right there. Like get an extra fight in before the end of the night.
Yeah, right. I'm looking at it like, all right, bro, there's like 10 people here. And I'm sure everybody's hearing it, but I'm like, all right, whatever. Maybe they just thought weren't paying attention, or it was a co-main event, so it was like the end of the night. They're like, whatever, we got 4 weeks off after this. We'll let this one slide.
Yeah. Did you ever find out who it was?
No, I wanted to go to the crowd afterward, but they took us to the back, and I was like, oh, all right. I wanted to see how tough this guy really was in person.
What I liked about that moment, well, I don't like when it happened, but what I liked about that moment is you kind of turned it into a positive, because you could I mean, we got to be honest. It's an ugly moment. It's a sad thing. Unfortunate state of affairs, the world we live in, that some people are still idiots like that. But you turned it in. You said, hey, I use this motivation. I use this motivation to fight. I love that you said that, because typically when you give fuel to a person like that, you're basically, when you say you're an idiot or you called them out, you're kind of giving fuel to their fire. But the fact that you're like, hey, that just motivated me even more. Like, I love that you turned it around on them a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I was sitting there like, all right, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And it's like, it hypes me up. I'm like, when people trash talk me or anything like that, it doesn't throw my game off. It just makes me want to go that much harder. When I see guys, Twitter trolls and stuff like that, tell me that I can't do this, it makes me want to do it more. And it just makes me want to prove them wrong. So keep that coming, guys. I want the hate. I love the hate.
So now, with that being said, Belal, coming out of that win, I know you mentioned, a lot of possibilities. I'm curious, and I'll talk about specifics in a second, but I remember having this conversation with Vicente Luque after he had beaten, Chiesa and Woodley, and now with you being Maya and Wonderboy back to back, there's only so many options out there. I mean, again, when you look in front of you in the rankings, there's only a couple guys. Now, I know Luque's attitude, he's like, I understand, like, there's only so many guys I should fight, but I do want to stay busy, things like that. Like, where's your attitude at right now? Because now that you have this win streak, and there's literally only 4 guys in front of you in terms of the rankings in the UFC, like, do you have to at this point say it's got to be a Luque or a Burns or an Edwards, one of those guys, or a Covington, or are you still open to other options?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everybody above me makes sense, and I'm open to those. And below me, I mean, there's only probably like 2 names that make sense, and that would, like, Masvidal would make a lot of sense because he's number 6. So I would definitely do that one. A guy that fought for the title twice, a guy that still has a huge following and stuff like that. And then obviously Khamzat would be another guy that I would be willing to put my position on the line for, because he also has that hype and he has that push from the UFC where they think he can be a champion and they think that he's the next guy. So you go out there, you beat a guy like that, you steal all of his hype, all of his shine, and then you just beat the boogeyman. So like the everybody above me, and then those 2 probably be the only ones that make sense below me.
Let me ask you, I was going to bring out Khamzat. Let me ask you about him, because I think he's a tremendous fighter. And I know we talked about him when you did the podcast before. We talked about Khamzat, and I know, there's respect there. I get both sides of it. Like, part of me says, why would you give him that opportunity? Because you've earned your number 5 ranking, and he has 1 win over a legit good welterweight. Li Jingliang is legit, no doubt about it. He went out there and beat him. Good for him. Gets him in that top 15. Great. Work your way up. You did it. Usman did it. Luque did it. Everyone that's in that top 5 has kind of worked their way into that top 5. But why? I understand he's got all the hype around, but why would you be willing to, risk your number 5 ranking against the guy who technically, would be sitting on the kind of the edge of that top 15? You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of guys wouldn't do that. We got to be honest. There's a lot of guys who will just sit there and say, oh, I'll never give that guy that fight.
Yeah, I mean, because in this game, it's not like, to me, rankings don't mean anything. It's about hype. It's about who the UFC wants to push and who the UFC, who's that guy, who's that McGregor now, who's that next big star. And like, as we saw last year with Masvidal, where it's like, you don't have to be number 2 to get the title shot. You don't have to be number 1 to get the title shot. It's about who's getting that push right now in that right moment. And right now in that right moment, Khamzat's, like, you get the most hype from beating a guy like him than anybody, honestly. And like, do I know why he's got all this hype? Obviously, he has 4 wins. Do I think it's like he's this Terminator because of those 4 wins? No. Do I think that he's this next pay-per-view star because of those 4 wins? No. But the UFC does, and like, those are the ones that run the show. So like, if they think that, then I'm the one that has to put a stop to them because they think that.
Yeah, I love that attitude though, because sometimes, and we got to be honest about the reality of the sport, hype sometimes matters more than accomplishments. I don't agree with that necessarily, but it's true. You know what I mean? And like, I look at a guy like Leon Edwards, who I like Leon, and I think Leon's had, some really unfortunate things happen. The whole, the pandemic, not his fault. Being out and getting COVID, like, none of that's his fault. I get, like, I'm not blaming him for any of that. But then obviously he had the no contest with you, could have easily just run that back, which I know we talked about, coming back in, and then just again sitting and waiting. And again, not his fault that Masvidal got hurt, but again, could have potentially faced another opponent. I know you were willing to step in there. The sitting and waiting thing backfires on you. And I've heard rumors, I don't know, maybe you've heard the same, that Usman's not looking to come back, immediately. I'm not saying he's going to sit out for a year, but take a few months off, and credit where credit's due. He deserves it. He had 3 fights this year, which champions rarely do anymore. If he wants to sit out till next summer, I have no problem with that. But is Edwards really going to be that guy, come June, July to get a title shot? If you go out there and beat a Khamzat, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I feel like that attitude works in your favor.
Exactly. That's why I think that it pushes me better, because if he's going to sit there and wait, and like you said, Usman, he's an active champion. He deserves some time off to be with his daughter and his family and things like that. So he's earned that. So if he wants to wait till next summer, if I get one more big name win in before Leon, I literally fought 8 times. Well, Leon's fought 3 times in the last 2 or 3 years. I'm the one pushing. I'm the one being active. Dana White says he likes active fighters. He doesn't like these people waiting. So if I go out there, I get a big win, I think I earned it. Definitely a skip in front of him. I feel like I've earned a skip in front of him already, just based off of the level of opponent I fought. I fought in Maya and Wonderboy back to back, and he's fought in who did he beat? Dos Anjos and Nate Diaz, who are both 55ers. So it's like, if you really think, he hasn't fought any ranked 170 pounders that are actually ranked and good right now. So like, it doesn't make any sense for me, but I'm not going to sit there and cry about it. I'm just going to get back on the horse and keep fighting.
Do you, when you look at the landscape and you look at it, like, again, I know there's a couple of fights that make sense. Do you believe in your heart of hearts that Leon would fight you again?
I don't think. Like I said, I think he's playing his politics game. He knows that I'm a bad matchup for him. And I think before he had that excuse, oh, well, he's number 12. It doesn't make no sense for number 3 to fight number 12. Now I'm number 5. Now what's your excuse? Now there's a card coming to London. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's, again, I said it last year, it made a lot of sense. So a year later and 2 more big wins for you, well, it really makes sense. And I know, again, I don't want to go through every single guy in the division, but I know the Covington fight is another one you've wanted for a long time. And, Colby was the guy who was waiting, trying to get the title fight. He had the rivalry with Woodley, all those kind of things. But now that's out of the way. Woodley's gone. He fought Usman twice. He lost twice. Credit for him, having great performances in both and pushing the champion. Great for him. But that's a guy that I think would make a lot of sense for you as well. And I know that's not one name that's kind of been mentioned, but I know that's one you've wanted for a long time.
Yeah, that's the one I've literally been calling for years, probably like 5 years. Even before he got into title contention, ranking and everything like that, I've always wanted that fight, just because he's another guy where a lot of guys didn't want to fight him before just because of style. And to me, I think that my style is better than his. I think that I'm a better version of him. I think I have better grappling, better cardio, and way better striking than him. And he gave Kamaru a lot of problems with that style. So I think that me fighting him, beating him dominantly, a guy that Dana White says would be the champion if Usman wasn't here, I think that would definitely put me over the top. And, a guy that I would just want to punch in the face just out of just pure hatred for the guy.
Yeah. Now, I know you said on Saturday, and I agree, there's an argument that could be made that you could jump in the title fight right now based on the division and based on your wins. But that being said, are you okay? And it seems like you're okay getting another fight before the title fight. Like there's an argument that can be made that you could jump in the title fight right now, but you're okay because I know you already mentioned the Khamzat fight. You already had the thing with him on Twitter. Of course, you mentioned on Saturday, and I had a couple of possibilities. It sounds like you're ready to fight again before the title.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously I called for the title fight in the cage, but it's one of those where I knew that there's going to be 4 weeks off. And I know Dana White and them are going to sit around at the round table. Matchmakers are disgusting. So I just want to be a part of that discussion. I want them to, well, he called for the title shot. He just dominated Wonderboy. I'm in the discussion now for the title fight. But yeah, I know that I want to stay active. I want to stay busy. I'm not going to sit out there and feel like I'm owed something. I don't want to be one of those guys. I want to be one of those guys that stays active, stays pushing it. Like I fought 4 times this year. Probably could have fought 6 times this year if the UFC would have gave me opponents. But yeah, I just want to stay busy, stay pushing it. I feel like that's when I'm at my best, when I'm always in the cage, always training, always getting better. And, you don't get any younger. So like I'm healthy. I want to take advantage of my health while I still have it.
How soon do you want to fight again in that case? Again, I know that, you literally just fought, but I mean, how soon would you like to fight again?
I think February, March would be perfect for me. I think that gives me enough time to get a camp in. I'm going to be back in the training room or probably next week to help my teammate, Ignacio Bahamondes, is training for his fight, and got to get right back to work.
Yeah. Now I'll say this in all honesty, Belal, and I mean this truthfully. There's one downside to you being a top 5 welterweight. Now, can I tell you what it is? Can I tell you the one downside to this? The one bad thing.
Was that?
When you get to be top 5 and you get to be main events and co-main events, you're going to be on all the posters. They're going to have you on the. I want the Belal poster. Okay, I don't need this UFC graphics department making Belal Muhammad posters. I want the Belal Muhammad poster. So here's the deal: you got to make with me. You got to promise, even if you become champion, you're number 1 guy in the world. Can you please still put out the Belal Muhammad posters? Because I feel like you're going to do a better job than UFC. I mean, I got to be honest.
Yeah, I have to. I always got to put my little spice on the posters, no matter what.
Yeah, come on. You can't let me down, right? Like, I know you're going to be main events and all these things now, but come on. You can't let me down. I need the Belal posters for every fight.
I got you, brother.
Okay, well then we're good. Okay, then I'm over the whole top 5 thing. I'll get over that. Belal, congratulations again on a huge win, man. It truly was a great performance, man. Like I said, no one's done that to Wonderboy ever. To go out there in 30-25, that guy means something, and that's a big deal, man. So enjoy it. I know you said you're already going to be back in the gym next week, but take a little bit of time to get fat and happy. Enjoy the holidays, of course, and thank you as always for taking the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Happy holidays to you, man. I hope you have a blessed week.